Hello and welcome to the Chattercade podcast, where we just, talk random shit about specific topics. As usual, I am the Dragon King Thomas Hughes.
Zenithfire Gaming, aka Connor O'Shea.
AKA Zenithfire 98. Yeah, a lot of names, man.
Zenithfire Gaming, Zenithfire. I know. I need to sort it out. I will sort it out. I promise.
Okay, and so the topic I have chosen for today, Connor, is something that we kind of discussed a little bit at work, which is obviously, should movies get trailers beforehand? Because there's this massive debate at the moment regarding Spider-Man No Way Home, which is obviously
With the spoilers.
People saying, okay, we want a trailer, but then like, okay, do we get a trailer? Do we want a trailer? Because, we don't want to be let down or anything. So it's that sort of debate of, should movies get trailers before release or should they not? I think they should, because there's two sides to the coin. There's yes and no. I think you said it best to me. They should get at least one, and that's it.
I think there should be one main trailer, and maybe that trailer broken up into ones. But with the Venom trailer, we got one before, and then we got one recent which shows fucking loads, and it's just like, I feel like they show too much sometimes. Like, if you had the one trailer, let's say they have one main trailer for the film, and then there's obviously teaser trailers which were a breakdown of clips within that, but didn't show anything else. And it's a hard one because obviously with marketing and stuff like that's a huge way of pulling people in, but it does spoil it in a way. So
yeah, there's easily two sides to this argument, isn't there? There's obviously the side of there's trailers that spoil it, and there's trailers that fucking don't spoil anything and just incredible looking. Obviously, in terms of spoilers, I think the big one's probably Terminator Genesis. But the fact it's got the John Connor twist in it, and everyone's like, why would you put that in the fucking trailer? That's like something that you should never reveal in a trailer. That should be like in the movie, watching it going, oh shit. In fact, it wasn't a great movie anyway.
See, there's some things that could do it. Like, let's say it's a new title, like a brand new film, no one knows anything about it. Then they can spoil stuff within the trailer because people won't know what it is anyway. But obviously having John Connor be a Terminator, everyone knows what that is, so there's like, oh, well, we already know this. So if it's an established franchise, it's harder to put out a trailer without spoiling stuff.
So I feel like issue as well with obviously the fucking you saying that is obviously Ready or Not, which was like a film that no one would have heard of. They put the trailer out and it basically showed the entire fucking film.
And see, that did. That spoiled it because it showed the premise, but I mean like characters, because people don't know characters. Like, if you haven't watched the film, you're not going to be able to build a character from a trailer. But I mean, like, basically getting the whole premise of the film under the trailer is like, oh, okay, you've just shown all these clips and what's going on. Yeah. Like, didn't they show like someone dying within the trailer? It's like, well,
if you show someone
dying, and it's like, yeah, so it's like, how can you show everyone dying in the trailer? That just spoils what's going to happen in the film.
I say, because when I saw that, I was like, I don't really want to watch it. Never seen the entire film in that space of 2.5 minutes, something like that. But then I went and actually watched it, and it was actually really good.
I feel like a lot of people missed it though because of obviously the trailer revealing so much. I remember it being like a big thing, and everyone was like, "Yeah, why is it revealing so much?" But I feel like a lot of people missed it because I basically watched the film. I've already seen the trailer. It's like the film within 10 seconds. So there's gotta be some other ones. There's gotta be some huge ones.
Let's try and think of some. Let's have a little Google, shall we? Trailer. Oh, I think he kind of spoiled like a massive amount of it, but obviously he was trying to sell people on to go and watch it. Obviously, Snyder's Justice League. There's a lot of spoilers within that, but obviously, to be fair, he'd released.
But that had already been out, though, wasn't it?
I mean, stuff that hadn't even been in the other version. It was like a big. It was a big character.
Go back and watch it.
It was a big character death that never took place in the first version that you see in the trailer for the second version, for the original version, basically. So that was kind of spoilery, but I'm not too sure if he spoiled that beforehand anyway. And his concepts, obviously, kept leaking shit, didn't he? Like the concept art, obviously the images from the sets. So I don't know if he already spoiled that one already. So obviously that's maybe why he put it in. But obviously that was quite a big spoiler because then you're watching the film, you're like, oh shit, okay, 3.5 hours in, that guy's dead.
See, maybe he did that as well to make people like, oh, there's so much change in this version. I will go and watch it now. But obviously, if you hadn't have had the stuff before when he released that, people would have been like, yeah, okay.
Okay, I found like a list here apparently.
get one that we all know.
Kingsman: The Golden Circle had a few spoilers in the trailer.
I don't think I've ever watched the trailer or the film for that one, so I can't say anything.
Let's have a look. No. Let's have a
Lovely cop car going past.
Let's
Ambulance?
go, I think. Oh, ambulance,
Yeah.
one of them. Batman vs Superman. Sport quite a bit according to this thing I'm reading here.
Not spoil a trash film. Come on.
Talking to someone who actually enjoys that film.
Terrible.
What's that? According to this, Lord of the Rings 2 Towers. Sports some apparently.
I feel like every trailer's got to spoil something because it has to show something that has never been revealed. Like, you can't have a movie come out with no trailer. Like, I feel like there has to be a trailer, but
it's got to be a big one. It sort of brings me back to the first podcast we did, which is obviously Friday the 13th, 1980. It spoilt every character's death.
What, every single one?
It kept coming up with like 1, 2, 3, 4 over everyone's death. It shows the death of every character chronologically.
Nice.
That's probably got to be a big fun there. Has to be.
Still a big hit there, so.
Well, it was obviously, but I mean, that's got to be a fucking big deal. Like, some of that level, that's like maximum level of spoiling everything. It'd be like releasing a horror film today and just showing everyone dying, and go, here you go, and then releasing the film and going, okay, we didn't see that much money come in. Yeah, because you spoiled the entire fucking death premise.
It's like some films don't spoil really the story, but I feel like they spoil some of the best scenes. Like a lot of that, like superhero films, obviously spoil the best fighting scenes because they have to show something that's interesting. Like they showed quite a lot of the new Venom.
Yeah, I feel like they have to show some stuff that's interesting, but I feel like they could probably get away with like showing interesting stuff but not giving context behind it. Like sometimes you watch these trailers and it shows like an interesting moment. The one I just saw then was Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, where obviously in the trailer you see the island Isla Nublar basically blown up because of the volcano. And I'm pretty sure if I'm correctly watching that trailer, I'm pretty sure they mentioned the volcano in the trailer and then show it. But I feel like they could show it and then you'd be like, wait, what? What? How?
Or like mention nothing about it and just have it like randomly put in, or like seem like it's like seamlessly nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah, and make you go, wait, what's going on here? Like, don't put like context behind it. Like, they show the scene and make people go, wait, what? Because obviously sometimes they overlay like clips of like from like earlier on in films, like when someone's actually said something over the top of this scene. Usually, sometimes in trailers, and then that gives the context for that scene. You're just like, yeah, but that's not part of that scene in the movie. You may as well show that bit the movie and make people go, shit, I gotta watch this. I need to know what the fuck's going on here.
What's your feelings on trailers that show clips of the film that are cut out later on? Because that's not spoiling it, but I feel like sometimes like, I can't wait to that scene.
Yeah, and I feel like that sometimes is a bit of a kick in the balls. Because, you know, you're waiting for that fucking moment and then it's just not even in the movie. You're just like, what?
And it's like, where is it? And then like 2 years later, it's like, here's a director's cut with that scene in. It's like, oh, he could have kept that in.
I feel like, what's the one I was watching recently? The new Snake Eyes film. I saw that recently. And there's a scene in the trailer where the Baroness meets Snake Eyes. She's like, we've been watching you for a long time. Snake Eyes. Wasn't in the film. That was in the trailer, like her commenting towards him, his name. And in that, I don't remember it at all being in that film. But then again, the end credit scene they used for it was in the trailer. Like
the end credit scene.
The last scene of the final trailer they released is the end credit scene for the movie. Like
it's just I feel like the problem is with movie studios and trailers is they release too many for one thing. Like that, because they're like, oh, we've got to advertise this. Like, let's say they bring out one trailer and that appeals to like 20% of people. Then they're like, oh, we need to bring another trailer to get the rest of the people. So they add new scenes in that'll spoil it for the first 20% who have only seen the one trailer because they're like, oh, it's fine. Like, but if you watch all the trailers for one film, like you're gonna have a lot of the story already under your belt. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a hard thing for a movie studio to do because they have to advertise.
Yeah.
But having such a wide amount of trailers, I mean, you got like the main trailers, the teaser trailers, like And a lot of the times they don't use the same footage within it. It's always new footage or different footage, so it's hard to. Yeah.
See, obviously, I sort of agree with what you said there. Obviously, they release a trailer sometimes, and you get the first trailer, which is a bit, and it only appeals to so many, and then the next trailer will fix that and appeal to everyone. Probably a prime example for me would be the Suicide Squad. The first trailer was good, but it wasn't groundbreaking. Obviously, it showed a completely different film to what the first one was, and obviously that was enough to go, okay, I'll be interested in this. But it wasn't until the second one that actually fully drew me in, because that was the one that showed its full range of chaos. Like, the first one was more the comedy, whereas the second one was more the action side of the movie.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the trailer, the second one they should have put out first, and that should have been the only trailer, maybe.
Or even if they had like a whole mix of the both, like let's say what they should do is like sit down and say what trailers do we want. Let's say they had the first and the second, and say okay, let's take the bits from this and make it into one trailer, and then cut out parts that like aren't needed. So like obviously you didn't like the first trailer, but if you had the first trailer mixed in with the second, like the action and the comedy together, I feel like it would have been like that one big like hit trailer instead of having all these little ones that show a lot more of the film.
I feel like the best way for them to market it, like some ways of doing this, is obviously, as you say, you get your main trailer out, you show enough, but not too much, just enough to get people interested and go, you know what, I'll check that movie out when it comes out. And then, as you said, obviously the bits about cutting it down into obviously that trailer into pieces, like mashing them all into different clips and whatnot. I feel like they should put the first trailer out, say like a good few months beforehand, just to get people interested and go, yeah, this is coming out in a few months, go check it out. And when it comes close to the actual film's released, then throw out these little ones, like to just say, okay, this is out Friday, this is out, I don't know, September 21st, like stuff like that, like, and obviously just slam it out like that. Don't just do like, a lot of films have this teaser trailer just to announce the bigger trailer, then they have the bigger trailer, followed by another bigger trailer, followed by the God knows how many TV spots. It's like, you don't need all them. You just need so much to get through. Because obviously a lot of times, like posters, they're used a lot of times for marketing. So, you know, billboards. Heck, I was when I was going to work the other day, I noticed the fucking big Walking Dead one down the road. I was like, oh, okay, because obviously it's advertising for Disney Plus.
Is that the one that was like torn off the wall today? That's hanging on the floor.
I don't know.
I think it was all torn open.
Probably was. It is this area. But yeah, obviously that was advertising for Disney Plus. So you don't need to slam all this shit into trailers, because you can focus on other aspects of marketing. Interviews are a good way of marketing, which they do a lot. And even like show like I see like sometimes on you see like a talk show, you see like a celebrity. I don't know. Sticking with Suicide Squad recently, for example, you see like a James Gunn. He goes on like a talk show. It brings like an exclusive clip, like not a spoiler clip, like as a specific scene that isn't major to the movie, but it's enough to draw people in and go, that's quite good. Like maybe like a scene of like a joke or something. Yeah. And just like go, oh yeah, I've got this exclusive clip for you. Here you go, and then put that on screen. Like who was it? When roll back to Batman vs Superman, I mentioned that. On the Jimmy Kimmel show, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, I think it was Jimmy. Who's one of the Jimmys?
It's one of the Jimmys.
Is that Jimmy Kimmel the one that's like jokingly feuding with Matt Damon all these years?
Jimmy Kimmel. Oh my god!
Fallon was the one in Jurassic World, isn't he? Jimmy Fallon was the one in Jurassic World, wasn't he? In the first one.
You've confused me now. I can't think of who's what now.
I think it's Jimmy Kimmel. Either way, basically when the Batman vs Superman was coming out, Ben Affleck went on his show and was like, it started speaking to me. He's like, oh, you brought me an exclusive clip, haven't you? And he goes, yeah, I brought you an exclusive clip. And he goes, oh, I'm in the clip online. He goes, yeah. And it basically puts this clip on screen, and it plays out like the first time, obviously, when Batman and Superman meet in normal side Bruce and Clark, when they meet Lex Luthor's basically gala. It plays like that, and next minute he comes walking in the background eating, and he's just looking around, and he walks off screen, and he comes back in and goes, you're Superman. And he's like, what? He goes, yeah, you're Superman. He goes, no, I'm not. He goes, yeah, you're Superman. And he keeps putting glass on him and goes, told you, you're Superman. And he turns around and goes, wait. Because he hears Ben Affleck talking. He goes, wait a minute. Can you say it again? He puts like a phone against his eyes, and it looks like Batman's eyes. And he goes, I'm going to break your legs. And he goes, you're Batman. And he starts getting into this argument with these two, and then Lex Luthor comes up and he's like, Clark Kent meet Bruce Wayne, and he's like, starts talking, and he's like, no, Superman, Batman, and fucking Lex looks at Superman and goes, oh my god, I see it now. I'm an idiot. I've been after a farmer's boy this entire time. And he goes, no, you two carry on, and he just walks off, and he starts fucking obviously he's slamming him and everything. It's like, have you autograph and everything? And Superman just picks him up and just yeets him into the fucking sky, and he lands on Mars, and Matt Damon's up there. And he's like, I've been stuck in next to the Martian. And he starts taking...
Oh, yeah.
That's a good way of advertising, because he's showing like a little clip, but you're also merging this new joke into it, because that's a really good way of advertising.
That's not in the film, but it obviously like draws people in, especially on like talk show stuff. So.
Yeah, it's like that's a really good way of like, advertising something, in my opinion. See, obviously, the start of it is obviously basically as the scene plays out near enough as it is in the film, but then there's inserts into it to make it like this obviously joke version. So I feel like they could, because obviously this is a scene that was in the trailer, when it's not like, obviously you knew they were going to meet at some point, so it's a scene that was not massive spoilery, but obviously then they just took that into a joke purposes, and I personally think that's a really great way of marketing like a movie.
I think the thing is as well with them is like you can miss them. Like if you don't want to watch that, like a talk show host, you don't have to watch it. But like let's say you're watching YouTube, watching TV, you have to watch trailers. Like the amount of times I've been watching TV and I get a trailer for a film, that's like one thing, and then next advert, like after the program's come back on, you get like a totally different advert for the same film. It's like I've seen like these two things that maybe I didn't want to see. I didn't want to spoil it for myself. Like I'm trying to avoid, if like obviously anything comes out for the new Spider-Man, I'll avoid probably all the trailers just because I want to go in not expecting anything. Like after the ending of the, obviously, is it Far From Home?
Yeah.
Last one? Yeah, absolutely. The ending of that, I don't want any spoilers. I want to go in and just watch it, like knowing what happened at the end of that, and be like, okay.
I feel like if they do release a trailer, you're definitely going to struggle to not see any spoilers.
Oh no. Then again, you get people spoil it for you, like someone at work.
Who decided to empty bins while I started recording.
Fucking spoiling Avengers Endgame for me. Nice.
I'm so glad.
And he's like, it's just the way he's like, what did he say to me? He's like, oh, you would have seen it anyway. I'm watching it tonight in the cinema. Like, don't spoil it for me. Like, what the hell?
That's
like,
the thing, is it's a difficult thing to try and... No, that's why I feel like sometimes, obviously, that was obviously from the movie itself. I mean, in terms of, obviously, trailers, as say something pops up in that, someone's then going to go, oh, did you see this and this? And then you'll be standing by there going, for fuck's sake.
I mean, I'm definitely not watching any interviews with Tom Holland because he always spoils everything.
Wait, Tom Holland and I think Mark Ruffalo are the two big ones for spoilers.
Oh my god, yeah.
But I feel like Mark Ruffalo just does it as a joke now. And
See, Mark Ruffalo does it as a joke anyway.
They probably pay Tom Holland to do it now. They're like, oh, you're the king of spoilers. There you go, just start saying random crap.
Yeah. Spoil it all.
Because I know when they did the Avengers, obviously, I think it was Infinity War, when they did all the press for that, obviously, Benedict Cumberbatch was with Tom Holland most of the time, and every time he tried to say something, he just put his hand against his mouth and be like, nope. He basically...
Wasn't Mark Ruffalo was like, yeah, all the Avengers die.
Yeah, that was the one, yeah.
And everyone was like, oh my god.
But yeah, Cumberbatch kept making him stop fucking spoiling shit. Which is probably why they put Benedict Cumberbatch in the new Spider-Man, to keep Tom Holland quiet. But I mean, that's the thing. I'm a big fan of trailers. When I go to a cinema, I love being in there early to watch the trailers on the big screen. Like seeing like all these movies like pop up on this big screen. Like when they did, obviously, for example, like Infinity War and Endgame, when they came out, and I got to see those trailers on the big screen. It was so amazing. Even like the first, obviously, Suicide Squad trailer, the one that had Bohemian Rhapsody over top of it. That's a really good trailer. And that's I love when I saw that in obviously cinema when it's on the screen. I love trailers, but obviously, as you say, there's that other side, the kind of, yeah, but sometimes they go a bit too far. It's like, I kind of didn't want that in showing off in the trailer. I kind of want it to be its own thing and like not there at all, so then you don't have that idea.
Yeah.
But as you say, it's a difficult thing because of marketing. You have to put trailers out, but it's a way of, you need to edit them a bit better, basically. You need to edit certain scenes out of it. It's similar to, obviously, as you say, plugging stuff into the trailer, make people think, oh, it's going to be a big part of the movie, then it's not. Like, again, Suicide Squad with Joker. First trailer, the end of the trailer, they obviously showed Joker, didn't they? And obviously, they made it look like he was a big part of this movie, and then obviously it
Yeah.
turns out obviously Warner Bros. Just cut the shit out of the movie and basically put a couple of sequences of Joker that weren't massive for the movie that could have been cut out completely and not part of the film. So is that a problem of studio interference as well sometimes?
I also think with that though, there's a lot of audience interference because I feel like people saw the trailer with him and was like, "Oh, I hate him as the Joker," and it's like, "Okay, let's cut him out a bit more." Because I mean, how many people's complaining like, "Oh, he looks terrible," like his voice is terrible, and I feel like from the marketing point of view, it's probably like, "Oh, it's going to sell better if we cut him out a bit more."
Thing is,
Obviously, still got bad reviews, but
from what I read, there was someone who worked. I don't know, some big suit guy, was saying that obviously they test audience both versions of the movie, and both tested the exact same apparently. Even though a lot of people I've heard have stated that the original version they saw, obviously the director's version, is the better version. So I don't know why they're saying this. I think it's their way of trying to cover it all up, basically.
it's the whole thing of having like someone else play the Joker, and he's not even built upon. He's literally thrown in for a few scenes, and it's like, yeah, that was pointless. Like, don't show him off in the trailers. This like main character, because I mean, the Joker. If you're gonna put a Joker in film, he's gonna be a main character, and then the throw him in, it's like, yeah, he's barely in it. You see him in like the helicopter, and that's about it. So
I think that's the
I
thing.
feel
That's
like
obviously
it's
they
hard.
say that came out that trailer, and obviously everyone was bashing, especially specifically him. They're like, not too fussed on it. But then you look at the trailer for Justice League, the second trailer, the second of the Snyder Justice League ones, and they showed him off again, and everyone was like going crazy about how good he looked, how good this was, and everyone was just like being praised of this and like, yeah, I want more of this Jesus-looking motherfucker.
It's just showing the right things, but without spoiling it. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
they've got to make hype around a film. Like, and some films have to show the best scenes to make people go and watch it. But when you've got like big studios like Marvel, you don't really need to show a lot of trailers and a lot of footage because people go and watch it anyway. I mean, like, some films don't, like Avengers Endgame. They could have not released a single trailer for that, and everyone would have still watched it because it's like how many audience watched the last one? Like that was big, so everyone's gonna go watch this one anyway. It's like it's a hard one to put into perspective, but you need the trailers for the audience. But if you've already got a big fan base, how many trailers, how much footage do you need to make people go and watch it? Like it's like established games. I mean, Call of Duty, for example. Every year they got a Call of Duty that comes out and it sells amazing, and it doesn't matter if the trailer comes out and it's bombed or it's the best trailer I've ever seen. It still sells. They could literally release a new Call of Duty with like no trailers and it will still sell just because the title.
And so
I mean,
they released one trailer so far, but it was like a live action type of trailer. So they could
yeah.
release that and not even release a game trailer, show a bit of gameplay maybe, then they say it would sell no matter what, basically.
You see, the thing is with games as well, especially big titles, is people don't even care about the trailers anymore. Most people go straight for the gameplay reveals, which is probably the biggest thing because everyone's like, "Oh, I want to actually see what the game's like." So these trailers, it's a hard one in the gaming industry because the only things that seem to get like huge trailers in the gaming side is like more story-driven games, not like multiplayer games. They get little ones, but what does that matter? That's not going to be in the game because it's a multiplayer game. But things like God of War, stuff like that, they have to have like a kind of esque movie trailer because it is more movie type than a game. So
Yeah, I feel like with games though, it's very rare you get a game that does spoil a lot in its trailer. Really.
games do quite well with it because a lot of the time as well when you're playing it, it's your experience. You change what happens in a way. Like I mean, playing games like Mass Effect, you literally change what happens. But it's hard. I think it's harder to spoil a game than to spoil a movie because the movie's set. As soon as the movie's out, that's it. Like, how long is the longest movie you've ever watched?
But how long is in like the film
Like,
itself?
yeah, the film itself.
Pro Justice League, which is 4 hours long.
That's 4 hours. They've got 4 hours of footage, whereas a game, they've probably got like they could have 50 hours of footage because there's so much side stuff to do, and even like story games, the minimum amount is like 15 hours. Like, so it's hard to spoil a game than it is a film, I think, because obviously with a film, set scenes.
Yeah, because games you can like
Film,
literally just like pick and choose. Like I don't know, if there's a cutscene involving like a side quest, that's not major, but it's enough like that's interesting to draw people in. You can
yeah.
just nick that and go, here you go. Here's a bit of that footage in this trailer here.
I mean, and that doesn't have to have anything to do with the main story. Whereas a film, you can't really have a side quest in a film because everything has to do the main thing. Obviously, you can put jokes in the trailer and stuff like the humor part, which takes away from like all the action sometimes and takes away from like what it is. But I think that's like the thing is with films is like it's hard to not spoil something that is so story driven.
I bet that's the same with like TV shows as well, with trailers for TV shows. Because, for example, if you get a trailer, if you put footage from later episodes, that kind of spoils like sometimes how like a show is going to lead into. So like I don't know, say for you see like a character is like really badly hurt, you're watching it, you watch the first episode, you don't see anything like that. You're like, okay, one of these episodes at some point, this character's going to get really badly hurt. So that's kind of a sport that I know that in the back of my mind, this is going to happen in this show. So, the thing is with TV shows though, I feel like they could like pick and choose like. So obviously a lot of times you watch trailers, sometimes it's like someone talking, but there's like clips over that aren't related to that person talking. So like they could easily like pick like stills or very short scenes from like shows, or even it works for movies as well, and put them over this. Like it's like a, I don't know, you see someone talking about death or something, and you see someone like looking over a cliff or something like that. I don't know. Like, it's there's ways you can get around spoiling it, but still doing enough to draw people in because. You need to draw people in. If you're going to do a trailer, you need to draw people in because sometimes you can watch a trailer and be like, that's dog shit. I'm not that interested in this. Or sometimes things though, they can put so much in a trailer and go, that's interesting. I might watch that. And then you watch the thing, it's like really bad.
Yeah.
It's like,
obviously with TV shows show a lot of like pace. And then obviously when you watch a TV show, it's got to build the characters up in the first so many episodes, so then it slows down, and you're like, oh, this series that probably will get better on because I've watched the trailer. It's so slow to get into, you just burn out on it. It's like, yeah, I'm done with this. Like, you know, I have a hard time watching TV shows. Like, I get so bored after so many episodes. I'm just sat there watching. I'm like, yeah, I'm done now. Like, there's only some that I've watched. Obviously, like I like programs where I can jump in anywhere. Really, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There's not many episodes which lead on. Like, you need some context sometimes for the story, but don't need to really lead on. I can jump into the last season or the first season, and it's like, you know, I kind of know what's going on. Same as Family Guy. But when you watch things like, obviously you watch like The Flash and stuff like that, I couldn't just jump into halfway and make any sense of it. I'd have to go straight back to the beginning. And I think sometimes you'll have bad seasons as well, where if I was like, I don't know, watching season 1 and got season 2 and it's bad, I'd be like, I'm done now, I'm not even going to bother with the rest. Like, if this is so bad, why would I bother with the other like 6 seasons? So
that's
I think trailers need to sell it.
They need to sell it, but not oversell, like sell some stuff in it. So I feel like WandaVision did a good job. I think WandaVision did a good job at selling it for the fact that it showcased it's obviously comedy and a few obviously like big sequences, and you just like obviously it wasn't fully context. It was like for example that scene when it's like a Vision is like a obviously this is at home, we'll fight for at home, and it's obviously that was obviously a big scene, but it's just like, okay, so where's this coming from exactly? Because it didn't show anything around it. It didn't show that Agatha and White Vision were there about to fight him. It just showed them two him saying this, and it didn't show obviously overshow that. Its main focus is showing that it's this like sitcom style show, but there is still this MCU side of it. It didn't spoil anything really, like major.
It didn't spoil any of the characters, but obviously with Disney Plus being a new streaming service, and that was like one of the biggest things to be released on it, I feel like they didn't really need tons of context for trailers anyway. So, like, I mean, how many people MCU are subscribed?
Fucking millions. It was the first MCU thing since what? Far From Home.
Yeah, so it's like a huge. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, let's like watch that new Marvel thing. Like, say, Marvel's got it easy in a way because they've got such a big fan base. Like, their trailers, they could literally put out just a picture of like a character and then a date, and people be like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever.
I feel like though, for like obviously non-established characters like that people might not know that much about, then maybe like if they haven't appeared in other films, like for example Guardians, that one they had to sort of sell with obviously trailers. The fact that not a lot of people knew who the Guardians were.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi, that one they had to sell with a trailer because again, not many people knew who Shang-Chi was. But most other ones they've done are established beforehand. I think maybe Captain Marvel as well, that had to have the trailer because again, some people might not know who she was. But I mean, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Black Widow, The Avengers, Ant-Man kind of maybe needed one as well, just to establish for some people who he was. He wasn't just a joke, he was like an actual big thing. Black Panther, people knew he was thanks to Civil War. Spider-Man, don't need one for him really, because you know.
I mean, he's like the biggest superhero ever, isn't he?
But I mean, literally, like Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, Shang-Chi, and Guardians, the 4 not massive. Even Eternals, that's coming up. Ones that people don't even know much about or don't have a clue what they are. Those sort of ones, yes, maybe throw like a little teaser trailer just to go, okay, this is what this character is. This is what you can expect from this movie. Go watch it. But I say all the other ones, they don't need to because people know who they are. Maybe the Spider-Man ones, to the fact that how bad obviously the last Amazing Spider-Man was. Maybe that just to like flush you later. But then obviously Far From Home, I didn't really need to. Obviously they had to wait literally for Endgame to finish its theatrical run before they could even put that out.
Yeah.
So, literally that one probably didn't need to. But I mean, even like, I feel like DC have to as well, for the fact that obviously their films are always mixed received, so they kind of have to put the trailers out.
Cool.
But, I mean, like, other like studios, they say they kind of need to just to like sell their movies because they're not as big as I think like the Jurassic Park franchise again is another one that probably doesn't need trailers because it's a big franchise. Same with Terminator, big franchise, you don't really need them. But I feel like if there's a bad instant beforehand, you kind of have to put this trailer out just to ease people and go, okay, this is nothing like this film. This is a new film, nothing related. You can see from this. Prime example, I say Snake Eyes. First film was a really goofy, it's kind of badly aged now in terms of CGI film. Second one went a bit more serious, but it still had that goofiness from the first one a bit still in there. But this one was like its own brand new movie, nothing related to them, serious as hell. So it needed that trailer just to prove that it was different to them.
Yeah.
So it's always like a two sides to the coin with trailers, really.
See, personally, when there's like an established film, like obviously like Spider-Man and stuff, I try to avoid the trailers for that stuff anyway, because I always find when I miss the trailers and go and watch the film, I enjoy it more than when I've seen the trailers and get hyped for it too much. And I watch the film and I'm like, I'm disappointed now. Like, I'm trying to think of a film. Like, I feel like the very first Spider-Man, was it Homecoming? I watched a few trailers for that. I still thought the movie was good, but I really loved Far From Home because I literally didn't watch any trailers. I had no spoilers. I had no context for the film. I literally went in just knowing it's Spider-Man. I'm going to watch it. And I know a lot of people like preferred Homecoming than Far From Home, but I always put Far From Home above that.
Yeah, I prefer like, Far From Home. But I loved Homecoming.
Like both films are amazing, but I enjoyed it more because I didn't have this hype build up. I didn't have this hype just to go and like, like it's just another superhero movie, really. Like, obviously, what else would I expect? But when I saw Far From Home, I was like, I haven't seen anything from this. I've got no hype. I just know Spider-Man. So I was like watching the film with like a level mind. I wasn't getting this hype because I think sometimes I overhype films.
Yeah,
100%. So
I feel like though with some obviously if you come to superhero films, if obviously you got this normal sort of run-of-the-mill type of superhero film, like nothing's like different to Black Widow is basically run-of-the-mill normal superhero film. There's nothing really different about it. Those ones you can probably get away with it a trailer because they say it's run-of-the-mill, nothing new. But I feel like for something like, for example, Eternals, which has got this really big director behind it, who's obviously just coming off the back of an Oscar win, and it's obviously going to be a completely different stylized movie to what you've normally seen. That you need to showcase a trailer for, just to show that it's going to be completely different. Obviously, again, going back to Suicide Squad, compared to all the other DC movies, this is like the most over-the-top, gore-filled, comedy-filled one possible. So they had to show trailers to prove it was going to be different to everything beforehand. So I feel like some need it just to prove that they're going to be something different and show that they're not the generic film you normally see. And then ones that are these sort of generic ones, they don't need it because, well, they don't need it.
Yeah. See, I think personally my favourite trailers are like when they have voice clips from the film, but they don't really show any footage from the film. Like, let's say it's like panning across like different like scenes, like not like scenes of the film, but like just different like setting scenes. And then at the end, it has like all the voice clips of all the people, and at the end it'll just show like all of them together. There's no actual clips from the film; it just shows off the characters, and then the voice clips. That kind of gets me more hyped for something rather than like just scenes that are straight from the film. Like, I don't want to see all these scenes that I'm going to see when I go to cinema, like, or when I'm going to watch it at home. Or I feel like it's a hard thing to make. It's like a really good fucking trailer. I always think the very first trailer they release, where it's so cryptic but you still get context for the film, are the better ones. Until like they release like this big trailer where it reveals loads. It reveals like the main character. It reveals like who if there's obviously superhero movie, the main villain. Like with the new Venom film, they didn't really like have to show Carnage. They could have showed so much without him. And when he came into the film, like, oh my god, like it's Carnage. You know what I mean? Like he's quite an established villain. He's not like he's super well known. Not like I don't know Green Goblin now or something. Like he's obviously a huge villain. But that'd be something like even if they slightly teased him or like didn't actually show him like in the full Carnage like thing and just showed Woody Harrelson sat there, it would have been like, oh, I can't wait to see him as Carnage. Like fans would know it's going to be Carnage, but people who aren't big fans might be like, oh, who's he going to be? Or but obviously Venom being such a big character anyway, people are going to go and watch it. Like it's a hard thing. Yeah, but obviously in that trailer, it has some really good fucking scenes, like when he's in that church thing. Is it a church?
Yeah,
I think it is.
Which was in the first.
Like that was like to me. I was like, that looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, the one shot was in the first trailer.
Yeah, I was like, that looks really fucking cool. But then again, I could watch it and be like, oh, I've seen this now. It's less of that. Like it could be walking towards the church, and I'm like, oh, I know what's coming here. Like that's less of the anticipation. But I think it's hard when with trailers because they need to show enough off to make people want to go, but they can't show enough off that will spoil the film. So I personally think that films need trailers, but not as in-depth trailers. Maybe a few more cryptic type trailers.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I feel like we said our piece on this.
Yeah.
Give us trailers, but without spoilers, please. Okay, so it's news time. Okay, so movie news I've got here today. Obviously, I brought up Snake Eyes earlier. In the US, they've literally just put it on video on demand. Only like 25 days after something like that after it's been out in cinema, which is very short before they put it on demand.
That's
obviously,
so fast.
It didn't do very well. But the thing is, they put it on demand literally a day before its UK release.
Yeah.
So obviously, it took a month before it even came out in the UK.
Like again, that's a big problem as well. Like they keep releasing these films early on streaming platforms in other countries, and yeah, it's going to do bad in other countries. Because I mean, how many people are going to pirate the film? Like it's a problem. Like 100%. Like stop releasing films in one country and not another. Like
exactly.
England's a big market. Like
it's like when they did Ant-Man and Wasp. That came out in like the July of 2019. No, 18. Sorry.
Yeah.
And we didn't get it till fucking August 2019. So I went to watch it in cinema, and it was like I had to like keep off the internet for like a month just so I didn't get spoiled.
And people, that's another thing as well with spoilers. People are gonna have the incentive to go out and just pirate the film, because they don't want to get spoiled. They want to watch it before they get anything spoiled. It's a hard one, like. But I think maybe have like a worldwide release, like with games. Normally, it's like everyone has it at the same time.
Exactly.
Like it's released same time. At least try and do that rather than anything else. It's a hard one, man. Especially with new streaming platforms and COVID, like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What else we got? Free Guy, that new Ryan Reynolds video game based movie, has actually surprised everyone with a $28.4 million opening. On top of its really good reviews. Apparently,
so it's getting a sequel.
Yeah, apparently he's already getting a sequel because he's been that well received. That's good. Can't wait to watch it.
I want to watch it. I don't know if I'm that hyped for it, but I want to watch it.
Yeah, I'll probably wait for it to come out on Blu-ray. Obviously, some I found out the other day. Obviously, Amazon are negotiating to get the rights from Sony to Hotel Transylvania 4. So it'll skip cinema and go straight to Prime Video. And the current price I'm hearing is 100 million.
Million.
That's the current price I'm hearing.
I feel like that's not a bad price. I feel like Hotel Transylvania is like a big film now. Like, I mean, obviously, any kids' film seems big. Like, if you establish, not Minions, for God's sake, that's huge. It's like the biggest box office kids animated film or something. So,
yeah,
if he's already got a good audience and you can get it for a good price, why not?
Exactly. Plus, it means we get to watch it at home with our feet up instead of in cinemas. Anyway, that's my movie news. So, TV news, I found out that the Witcher prequel has added 10 more people to its cast.
Yeah.
And have nabbed 2 directors to basically, because apparently it's going to be 6 episodes. They got 2 directors to do 3 each.
Oh, yeah.
So, hopefully that should be interesting.
That's the animated one.
That's the live action prequel.
Oh, that's a live action prequel.
yeah, the animated one, which is due the 23rd, is already done, ready to go.
Oh, so done.
That's just one movie. Disney Plus have nabbed the UK rights to the new Hulu series, Why the Last Man, which is obviously based on a comic book by DC, which is going to begin airing September 22nd over here. I think it's airing like a week before in America, but obviously it's 22nd over here.
Yeah.
And sticking with, obviously, Disney, because FX is technically Disney, the Alien series by Noah Hawley is expected to release in 2023. So a long way before we get our next installment in the Alien universe. I'm looking forward to that, because Noah Hawley's a good director and creator. He's the guy who did Fargo, and I believe he's the guy who did Legion, the Marvel series, sorry.
Yeah.
The X-Men one. I believe he's the guy behind that as well. He almost did a Doctor Doom one at one point, a film. Obviously, that just fell through when Disney got the rights to Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And that's all my news. You got any
Fantastic Four.
got any gaming news?
Gaming news. Obviously the Pokemon reveal trailer-esque thing earlier. What was it, like the announcements that came out showed Diamond and Pearl remakes off. I'm not overly impressed by them, but obviously Pokemon is going to do well. Legend Arceus one that got released, that looks fucking brilliant. I think that looks way better than any other Pokemon game yet, just because it's more open world. Yeah. It looks like Pokemon's had a baby with Breath of the Wild. So Call of Duty is getting a reveal for the new installment, which is Vanguard, right? Yeah. Call of Duty Vanguard, I think the new one is.
Yep.
Is there anything massive that's really happening in gaming other than reveals? Because I feel like it's the time of the year where everyone's revealing stuff now. It's like that big thing towards the end of the year where it's like, here's Battlefield coming out, here's Call of Duty coming out,
so
Pokemon.
You got reveals because you got Hellraiser going to Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, I saw Hellraiser. Everyone was upset because it wasn't Springtrap Five Nights at Freddy's or whatever, which I don't understand.
Do you want to hear my bit of gaming news I found that I wouldn't tell you about?
Go on then.
It involves Dead by Daylight, actually. Do you know, obviously, Stranger Things is in it. Apparently it's leaving it in November. Apparently if you don't own the DLC, you can't buy it after the cut-off point in November. But if you do own it, you can keep playing as the characters. But you can't use the map. The map's been taken off completely.
That's going to be I don't know how they're going to go around that in, let's say, the competitive S thing. That it's going to give, the character-specific abilities to everyone for free, or...
I don't know, because from what I'm reading, it's more likely to do the rights, so obviously the rights are probably up on the character and they can't use it anymore, but they can still keep it in the game and just can't sell it anymore. I thought it was quite big news. So obviously, if you don't own it, you're fucked, basically. If you want to own it, you have to buy it now. But apparently it's going on sale. Apparently they're putting it on sale to try and basically get people to buy it before it goes off.
It'll probably go really cheap. I think Dead by Daylight recently has been putting out DLC quite fast. Resident Evil chapter was a month or two back, and now Hellraiser one's coming out. That seems really fast to me.
They've always been fast though, I think. I think they've always released one every other month.
I don't think it is this fast. I thought it was normally slowed down. I mean, when I obviously started playing the game, there's no new characters released till Nemesis, and that was a good 5 months, I think. And all of a sudden it's bam, here's Hellraiser in it now, or Pinhead. I think he's a good character. I think people are upset because it wasn't Springtrap from Five Nights at Freddy's, but I think he's literally a classic horror character. I'd rather have Pinhead than this new horror character.
Because Pinhead slots in with your Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger and Leatherface. It slots in nicely with them, doesn't it? And Ghostface.
I think it's easy to get, obviously, a movie character as well, an established movie character, than another games character. People a game developer's not going to give their characters to another game. It's very hard to do that unless it's got rights to it or it fits in without a story, I guess.
Exactly. Any other gaming news you found? Or is that it?
I'm trying to think. I don't think there's much really. There is a lot going on, but it's nothing major. The only other thing I saw was Oculus are trying to do some AR stuff, augmented reality over VR. That's interesting, but I don't know when that's going to get implemented. I think they expect it next year, I think. At least beta pro, or alpha or whatever. That's going to be a bit weird, because they're talking about, you could go out in real life with this thing on and go and see like all this stuff. Like imagine walking down the street with an Oculus on. Like no. Yeah, I think that's my gaming news up.
Okay, I found some interesting news, which kind of plays into TV at the same time, but it's also interesting. Safe Park creators have brought the rights to Casa Bonita. Because the restaurant Casa Bonita that's in South Park.
Oh yeah.
They brought the rights to it. Because it was obviously struggling due to COVID, so it's going to close down. And because South Park has signed a deal with Paramount recently, a big fucking, whopping, I think it was like ridiculous amount, almost, I think it wasn't far off $1 billion deal sort of thing. They've obviously used some of that money to save Casa Bonita. Obviously, they own the rights to the restaurant there.
Oh my god.
Exactly. This one's also sort of TV. Ned Flanders from Simpsons is getting his own Adidas trainers, like his own custom trainers, like his colour scheme and everything. I saw that. I was like, what the fuck?
That sounds very cool. They do quite a lot with that, like character shoes and stuff. I know Simpsons have got a few pairs of shoes that are out anyway. Yeah, Ned Flanders. That's a weird one.
And this is something from last week. Actually, I saw it only recently though. One of the wandering walrus set home on a motorboat. It's like a walrus that keeps like traveling to different places, and he's like just chilling on a motorboat. he's literally chilling. There's two pictures. One of him like looks like he's driving it, and one was just hanging over the edge. And he's like a big fat fucking walrus. I mean,
all I heard was walrus and motorboat, and my mind went somewhere else. But
yeah, I thought that was quite funny.
That's very funny.
It's from last week, but I only just saw it. I think that's all my news. Yeah, that's all my news. So
some famous movie
review time. Again, I had a few discussions of what I was going to choose for this. So I was considering a TV show. I was considering like a specific episode. Literally, I just watched like right before recording the What If episode of Black Panther, which is really fucking good. So I could have done that, but I chose something I watched last night actually, which is a film called Prophecy.
Never heard of it. Is it old film, new film? What is that?
It's kind of like a man bear pig.
Geeky bear.
It was directed by the late John Frankenheimer, and written by David Seltzer, who wrote the original Omen. And it was released in 1979.
Jesus.
But it recently got released as in Monday, I think, on Blu-ray for the first time in the UK.
And you went and snatched it up.
Yeah, I thought I'd forget it, see what it's like. It's got quite a famous cast, I will say. How do I say this? The monster is very clearly a man in a suit.
A man in a suit.
It's very clearly a man in a suit.
Can you get a picture and just pop it up on screen?
I will, yes. It's very clearly a dude in a suit running around. The first half of the movie was kind of bland and kind of boring at times. I literally fell asleep at one point. I just nodded off as well. It's an environmental horror, so it's sort of like they're just trying to like say like obviously you're destroying the environment. This is what happens if you destroy the environment, that sort of thing. And it was just kind of boring. I think it didn't help that the characters were very bland and very wooden. They weren't the best of characters in the first half, but I feel like the second half really picked up because that's when it dove into its horror core. Obviously that's when the deaths started happening and everything. The numbers started going down to like minimum amount, and there's a lot more going on. But I just feel like it suffered with its first half. I feel like it suffered with its kills, to be fair, because the kills were quite grinded down. I think it got released as a PG back in the day. It claims it's a 15, but I wouldn't really call it 15. The kills weren't that brutal. And the only one I could say that maybe was brutal was the guy that got decapitated, his head. That was it. But it was like a quick, like, it ran at him, and it ran off, and the next minute he's got a head. Like, everyone else that died was sort of like smacked to the side. Like, it was just literally like a smack to the side, but they had claw marks all over them and they're dead. That was literally it. The story's alright, I will say that. The story's quite decent. Obviously, as you say, it's the idea of, we're polluting nature, and it's literally creating like these hybrid monsters that are just going on a rampage. But these like
many bear suits.
The creature it's like based on is literally what inspired the man bear pig from South Park. It's like an old sort of legend, like
a myth thing,
like an Indian legend, yeah. And it's like essentially like a mutant bear type creature. The music at times very much feels like Jaws. You very much feel like you're watching Jaws again. You can still hear the
That building up like.
Yeah, it's literally a scene when the bear's underwater and you can hear the fucking music kicking in. He's like, this is the same like Jaws every fucking 5 minutes.
Off there, half shark.
There is one shot I really liked where this guy was like staring down the bear, and you saw it from a distance because characters are in the water, and they saw it from a distance. It's all misty, it's all foggy, and it's like this shot of him just standing there, and the bear is tearing over him, and I thought it was a really good shot. And it led to a funny moment when the bears just start ragging this guy around in the air. Like you just see it from a distance, like this, you clearly see it's clearly like yeah, basically like that. It's another one of those ones that's tried to cash in on Jaws' success from a few years before, but it's like trying to catch light in the bottle. You're not going to really do it. It's not terrible, but it's not great. It's just
Jaws better than Jaws. Jaws is a Jaws copy.
It's just meh. But I respect the fact it was all practical. I respect that it was like practical effects and whatnot, which, you know, at the times you had to do practical, but I mean, I always respect films that, even now, that use practical over special effects. So there's always that bonus. And I did find there's some scenes that are quite funny. Like his character died, but they're in a sleeping bag, but instead of like having blood and guts spray everywhere, the sleeping bag basically exploded against a tree, and like all the stuff inside the sleeping bag just exploded everywhere, which is quite funny. And then the main character at one point got like an arrow and did like a jump to try and stab like the creature in the head, but it was like a really funny moment of him trying to like impale this arrow into his head, but his legs were flying in the air. It was just cracking me up. I was like, for fuck's sake. I will say, if you want to see a movie with Adrian at a Rocky, Adrian! The actor who voices Ratchet in the first 4 Transformers live action films, and the guy who played the Doctor in the Thing, you know, watch Prophecy. It's got, as I say, it's got quite a big and well known, obviously, cast and obviously people behind the scenes and whatnot. It's just very meh. It's
I
not,
mean, like the date of release, it probably wasn't like well known then. Probably wasn't these huge stars then.
I think in terms of the writer, this was just off the back of Omen. It was only a few years prior. I think it was a year prior he did Omen 2. So it was off the back of them. From what I've read, obviously there was a lot of issues with studio cutting it down and stuff like that. Obviously they cut away a lot of the gore, because apparently there was a lot of gore. There's a lot of scenes that was deleted from it. There's a sex scene deleted from it, I read.
Damn it. Oh, that's the only reason I'd watch it.
But yeah, it's not great, but it's not bad. So I feel like a rating of 2.5 out of 5. Like, it's a mid-card movie. It's not shit. It has its moments, but it's not great. Like, I feel like if they up the kills, like obviously actually add the original versions in, then maybe I'll give it maybe a little bit higher. But the fact the first half of the film was just bland. It basically sums it up. Basically, the first half is bland, the second half's good. So it's basically, that's why it's a mid-card movie. It struggles to get to the 40-50 minute mark, but then from there onwards it does well, basically. So the movie is meh, but it's bearable.
Bearable. Oh my god, you're unbearable.
But yeah. Okay, so I don't have any questions, but I do have a question for you, Connor.
Oh, go on.
Do you reckon I get this tube up my arse?
What is that? Get out of the bag, I'll tell you. What's it for?
Fake blood.
Oh.
I have to buy a tube for the fake blood scene we gotta do.
You might be able to get it up there. Oh yeah, that'll go up there. Give yourself a little enema.
How far do you reckon I can get it? End to end?
I reckon you have to get it and pull it out of your mouth. I wasn't expecting that question at all.
Good question, was it?
It was a pretty good question. It was unexpected.
I saw the bag and was like, yeah, I got a good joke here. Okay, so that's it for the Chat Cave podcast this week.
Yeah, we still need some questions on the channel. If anyone has any, please comment. Like, I know people probably don't make it to. We need to ask this at the beginning, because some people probably won't make it this far. So get into the beginning. Because people probably listen to it.
We should do it at the start and at the end.
Yeah. We need questions. Subscribe, like, share if you want to share. I mean, I wouldn't share this with a tube at the end. Anything just to give us a bit more help with the questions would be great. Not struggling on topics, it'd just be nice to have a little extra segment for some fan questions at the end.
Yeah.
So, hopefully.
Nice.
Hopefully we get some.
Yeah. So yeah, as always, I've been your host, Drag King Thomas Hughes.
And I'm Connor O'Shea, aka 7598 / 75 game. I need to sort that out. I will sort Let's just say 7598 for now.
Okay then, thanks for listening.
Peace out, man. See you later. Good luck with that tube.